Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Jay from Coding with Jaybird, where I upload weekly tutorials to help build your confidence in coding. Today we're going to practice some JavaScript DOM animation. Let's get started, shall we? Here I have a DOM animation folder which I've opened in VS Code. On the right hand side, I'm using Live Server to display this content in my Chrome browser. So let's have a look at the HTML file. What I've done in my HTML file is I'm linking to a style sheet at the very top. I have a simple button and a container below the button, and then I'm linking to my main.js. Now, if you look at my style sheet, the button just has some simple styling to it. And then I have this container, which is this purple square that you see on the right-hand side. And I've given this container with the 475 pixels and the same height as well. Now, within that container, I have this animate penguin image, which you can see here. It's just a little image sitting in this container. And I've just given this animate penguin a width of 75 pixels for now. So what's the goal of today's demo? Well, what I'd like to do is I'd like for a user to come along, click on this slide penguin button, and then watch this penguin either slide across the page or slide down the page until it hits the end of this purple square. So how do we go about doing that? Well, JavaScript's great that way because it allows us to animate things. And the way we do that is we put them into an interval. So we use our set interval, which we learned last week, and then we can create some animation. And then what we do is we give it a very small interval. So in today's demo, we're going to keep it very small and make it 5 milliseconds. And then what happens is that image or whatever that object is that we're trying to move across repeats itself over and over while slowly moving tiny little fragments across whichever plane we want to move it across every 5 seconds, or rather every 5 milliseconds. All right, this will make a bit more sense when we put it into practice. So let's get started in our main.js. So first things first, what I want to do is I want to target this animate button. Now I have this animate button with an ID of animate-btn. So let's go ahead and target that. We'll call it animate btn equals document.get element by ID, and we'll target this button. Next, we want to attach an on-click event listener. So we can basically say if the user comes along, clicks on this button, some function should run. And what I want to do within this function is I want this animation that I'm creating to repeat itself over and over again. And I can do that by using the interval or set interval method. So let some variable called interval equal set interval. And in here, we're going to pass in two things. Now, we could have an anonymous function in here, but to make it a bit more clear, my goal is to create a new function called animation. And then for the second argument, I'm going to pass in 5 milliseconds. So animation is going to repeat itself over and over for 5 milliseconds. I'm obviously going to need some kind of starting position because I need to be able to say, okay, the penguin starts from here in this top left corner and has to slide across to the top right corner. So I'll do that by creating a position, and I'll set the position equal to 0. Now I also need to target the penguin. So I've given this image an ID of animate penguin. So let's go ahead and target that next. All right, so for this demo to work, what I need to do is I need to set the container, so this purple square's CSS position property set to relative. So let's go ahead and do that. And what I need to do next is I need to take this animate penguin and I need to set its position to absolute. And this is what's going to allow me to have some reference point so I can say, okay, move this in the X direction so many pixels. All right, so now let's work on this animation function next. So this is some inner function that's going to run. So this inner function will animate the penguin. Okay, so let's create this function with the function keyword, function animation. Now, I want the penguin to move across until it hits the end. So if the penguin is 75 pixels, which I designed its width intentionally, what I want to do is I want this top left corner to move all the way across minus 75. So if it's 475 pixels, take away 75, I want it to move up to 400 pixels across. So I can create an if statement here. If the penguin has reached the end, which is 475 minus 75, so if this position that I've created equals 400, then I want to clear the interval, meaning I don't want the animation to occur anymore. And the interval itself is stored in this interval variable. So I can put that in there. And now the else would be the animation itself. Okay, so now what do I want to do? Well, I want to increment the position, because right now the position is this top left corner. It's set to 0. So I want to move it across slowly. So what we can do is say position plus plus, or you could even say position equals position plus 1. So we're just incrementing at a very small amount. All right, so what we want to do next is we want to move the animation over to the right by 1 position counter. So the position's gone from 0 to 1, and we just want to move it over 1 pixel at a time. So what we can do is we can grab the penguin and use its style attribute to change its left position to the new pixel, which is 1 pixel. And the way we do that dynamically is we write position plus, and then we join it to the word pixels, or the letters pixel, because we're updating its style property. Okay, so if I save this and we come over here and we click on the slide penguin, we can see it slides over. That looks really nice. So let's try that again. Perfect, it looks great. And note the penguin started back at the very beginning, and that's because of this let position equal 0. So we're forcing the penguin to restart at the position 0 once we click the animate button, like so. That looks really cool. All right, so now what if I wanted to move it downward? Well, we could do the same thing very easily. So let's just comment this one out. And what we can do now is we can target the penguin and again update its style attribute. And now we can say we want its top position to be position plus, and of course, let's not forget the pixels. Now after saving it, when I click on this slide penguin button, we can see the penguin slide down. Now it goes beyond the box, and that's because I didn't set the height of the penguin to 75, so it's a bit longer. Maybe it's about 95 or 100 pixels, so it's breaking out of the box. But you get the idea. And of course, if you want to uncomment line 18, we can have it both change in the X and Y direction. So let's save that and let's see what happens here. It goes all the way across in a diagonal fashion. Perfect. So that's basically it for DOM animation. There's a lot of cool things you can do with this. I hope you've enjoyed today's video lesson. I've been enjoying making these videos so far, and my series is almost coming to an end. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, where I'll be updating weekly videos for you. Until next week, keep on coding.